What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel as you come in and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on Cam Newton, right? And the recent statements that he made on his podcast when he spoke about how he thought it was a slap in the face that the Colts didn't reach out to him, to bring him back as a quarterback, which I thought that, in my opinion, I don't think that the Colts are really obligated to, to give Cam Newton a call. Um, I think one of the reasons why, I don't know if they call Philip Rivers or Philip Rivers called them, but Philip Rivers has a relationship with members on the Colts staff, right? So that's what probably, um, prompted either them to reach out to him or him to reach out to them, and so but I think that every time a job come up that like it's not like the NFL or any of the teams in the NFL have to call Cam Newton or it's a smack in the face. Uh and I also think that although Cam Newton, they say like he's the kind of athlete who stays in shape, he's in pretty good shape, but still, he's not in football condition. What was the guy? Joe Flacco, is basically, Joe Flacco it stays in pretty good shape and football condition. Joe Flacco, when he came back to the Cleveland Browns the first time, he hadn't been out of football as long as either one of those guys. He hadn't been out as long as Cam Newton or Philip Rivers. So that's why it wasn't too much of a stretch to bring somebody like Joe Flacco back. Then on top of that, Joe Flacco is, he is 39, right? And so not as old as Philip Rivers, but I was listening to Rob Parker on The Odd Couple, him and his co-host, and they had some interesting things to say about why they thought that, you know, uh, the Colts didn't reach out to Cam Newton, and some things that they brought up was some points that they made was some things that I didn't even really think about. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to play what they said, and then I'm gonna react to what they said. And so here we go.
One Mr. Cam Newton had some comments about this whole Philip Rivers coming back, who's 19 years older than Cam Newton. I know it feels like that at least. It was very interesting.
Yeah, Philip Rivers, and looks like he's going to start this week. Just full disclosure that he's been preparing him, not Riley Leonard, to be the starter this Sunday against Seattle. And you guys mentioned he's 44 years old, hasn't played in the NBA since NFL since Louisiana Purchase.
There you go.
So it's got a lot of folks like, hey, if they're asking him, why aren't they asking me? Including ESPN personality, former NFL MVP Cam Newton.
Wow. And so now I knew that Philip Rivers was getting a lot of reps in practice. And they said they even went so far as to say that like he led the quarterback practice, right? He led the drills and stuff in the quarterback practice. But if he start this week, man, that's gonna be crazy.
Who talked about it on his own podcast
and
this
Disney
week.
character. Go ahead.
And he is none too happy. Take a listen.
Mad Hatter?
Yeah.
It's almost like a slap in my face, bro.
All the things that you do in the media, do you come off like you're available? Well, state the case then, bro.
Did Philip Rivers send any type of signs that he was available? Why you asking me to do something that everybody else didn't do? I ain't no lab rat. Come on, bro.
You still are available.
Have you followed my Snapchat?
He's retired. You ain't even retired yet.
I did not and will not because of an opportunity like this. And
He also was in their system, but still, like,
I don't give a damn if he was in their family.
But see, that matters, the fact that Philip Rivers understands the system. And like I said, he has a relationship with like one of the coaches, at least one of the coaches, or maybe a couple of coaches on that staff. So they're from, the offensive coach or coordinator. So that makes a difference, right? And so it's, Philip Rivers is familiar with the lingo, he's familiar with the plays and everything. So it's not really a stretch. And I think the Colts think that, they can still make a run. So That's why they brought him in. But again, let me get back to what Rob Parker and his co-hosts have to say about this situation.
44 years old, bro.
He got
How do
grandkids.
people hold Cam Newton to a standard that you're not holding everybody else?
Cam, did you say that you were still available? Cam, you're retired.
So did Phillip. But I know when it comes with me, the personality, bro. Folks don't want a Shador situation.
They don't want to do it, huh?
They don't want a circus.
Yeah, they want somebody who can complete better than 52% of their passes. Okay.
Well, I mean, you let it right there, Rob. Here's the thing: what Cam is missing. So the part in that video or that sound you miss is because he goes, "Have you seen my Snapchat?" And then he shows in the video, he's insane. We were talking about Aaron Donald earlier. There are some people who retire or stop playing who continue to work out like crazy. So physically, yeah, Cam, you're a specimen. 6'6", ripped up to probably still run. Absolutely, physically, you are a better fit than Phillip Rivers. Ain't no denying that. It ain't no denying that. I don't know. Maybe I don't think there are 64 quarterbacks better than Cam Newton. But here's the thing, and here's the life lesson. We still got Mark Gunnels, young man. We just met his homie, his friend here as well. It's a lesson for a lot of young people. I remember when I was in college, Rob, freshman year, Northwestern Michigan College. Spent a year up there in Traverse City. You know where Traverse City is.
Yep.
And my RA said to me one day, he said, blah, blah, blah. Then he goes, well, it ain't what you know, it's who you know. And I remember thinking, wow, well, okay. And that stuck with me. And obviously you know that. And Cam is what he's missing and what he knows is Phillip Rivers in this situation, we know he out of shape. We know he hadn't played in 5 years. We know he is nowhere near the specimen of Cam Newton, but he knows him. He's in their system. He's good with them. Probably stay connected with them. And they said, well, in a pinch, we got to go with a guy. We're going to go with this guy we know. And in their minds, the last time we saw Phillip Rivers, he was 11-5, 24-11, 24 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and that's what they saw. And the last time we saw Cam Newton, for the stretch that he had, it was like 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and he didn't look good. And he was completing only about 50% of his passes. So it ain't just that they know him. It's that also in their mind, Phillip was successful the last time we saw him. And lastly, Rob, sometimes when you make a decision to jump into something else, it can slow your roll. It can hinder you. Cam Newton, this is how they view him now. He's a podcaster. He's an analyst. You see him on First Take with your boy Stephen A. and all the shows. Like, that's the space they view him in now. Cam's opinionated. Cam's loud. And he's right. All that Cam's personality, for a game that he might have to play one game, they don't want that around. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I'm saying that's the reality. And he is right. They don't want all that around. They want to go with the comfy, what they know. It's Phillip Rivers. He out of shape. He's 44. He's got 12 kids, but we know him. Bring him in. And that's what Cam is dealing with. At this point, teams know he's still probably better than a handful of quarterbacks, backups in the league. They just don't want everything else that comes.
Yeah, and that's what I think it boils more so down to. Is like the familiarity. Like when it comes to, again, Phillip Rivers, Phillip Rivers is familiar with them. They're familiar with Phillip Rivers. And so, it's a good fit. And like I said, the Colts probably still think that they can make a push, a playoff push, right? And so that to me is, what they're thinking about. They don't just want to scrap the season just because their starting quarterback is out, is hurt. So, they still want to make a push. And I guess they feel like Cam wouldn't have been a good a fit for them. I would have thought that I had no idea that Cam Newton didn't even file for retirement. I thought he had filed for retirement, but evidently not. And so, but let's get into like what Rob Parker says about this situation, because that's even more interesting. Rob Parker's statements about this situation.
And he knows it. And it's one of the times he was right.
Nah, I'm going to say Cam Newton, there's 2 things for me. Aside from his, MVP year, which was tremendous, there's a lot of bad stuff. Numbers, completed under 60% of his passes in 6 of his 11 NFL seasons. Only had 3 winning seasons as a starter. Only had a passer rating over 90 twice in his NFL career, only twice. Here's the other thing. He's turned into Dwight Howard. The reason that Dwight Howard didn't make that list, top 75, what happened to Dwight Howard?
Got goofy.
He got goofy. And that's where Cam Newton is, whether people want to admit it or not. And I think when people look at it, they don't think he's serious.
That's what I mean.
They don't think he's serious about this. This is why no one, even though he didn't retire, he hasn't been on anybody's phone list. All the injuries, all these bad quarterbacks. There's nothing but bad quarterbacks all over the place. And he didn't get a phone call. Why didn't he get a phone call?
Because they don't view him as serious about football.
There you go.
They think he's podcasting, he's analyst, he's
and
doing
the personality and all that other stuff. And I'm just telling you, like, that's can happen to you where people look at you and go, oh, okay, he's not interested in football or whatever. He's doing some other stuff here.
Yeah, so even when you think about Phillip Rivers, right? Phillip Rivers was still, he was still connected to football. He was out coaching, I think, a high school team. A high school team he was still coaching, right? So that looks more like you're serious about the game than some of what Cam Newton has going on. And I think they're even going to get into the fact that some of the things that come along with Cam Newton, like Cam Newton was they had film of Cam Newton fighting at a football camp and stuff like that. So it's a lot that come with Cam Newton that maybe the Colts didn't want to deal with, like the extracurricular stuff. And so, he have to take that into consideration too. But at 45 years old, man, I think that I don't think that, and I like Phillip Rivers, but I still don't think that he's gonna come back and light it up. But I guess that's that is beside the point. That like the Colts would prefer to take a chance on Phillip Rivers than Cam Newton. And Cam Newton, in my opinion, is just like he said, it's a slap in the face, but he kind of coming off as entitled. Like, anytime a job comes open, then, like somebody, and you got to call Cam Newton. When, like they said, if he is staying in shape and he's making it known that he's trying to work his way back into the league, that's one thing. But, he off doing podcasts and just not even making it look like it appears that he's even interested in football. So, of course, they're not going to ask you, to come back. So that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And with that being said, don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.